in your growth as a human being, and you reflect on your years from the past, you see that you've come and repeated yourself, and in your travels as a human being, you've discovered much more about life than what you eventually thought you knew years ago. In raising children, working at your employment, you constantly are being challenged by the current day, and you're putting in those efforts, both intellectually and physically, and they constantly reveal more about yourself as a being. And as you went on to learn something called meditation, you began to realize that you can continue your journey through life without so much stress, perhaps less confusion, and even acquire a sense of enjoyment along the way. When you think about it, many clubs, organizations attempt to literally help people understand themselves as well as their journey. And of course, we don't like to be forced into any organization. We want to discover them for ourselves, ask questions, challenge. And that way then we can be more assured of where we're going. So in the act of meditation, there is no struggle. We calm our breath, we focus our attention, and we begin to experience the results of that choice. And gradually a change comes over us. We realize we don't have to be constrained by our immediate problems, that we can face them, but we can face them with a little more space and a peaceful disposition. That enables us to perhaps comprehend and resolve the issues without a great deal of confusion. And as the days go on, more and more we begin to appreciate what life is all about. Why did we come to this planet? Why did we come in this century? Because we were here to face those problems that are stirred up in various areas of this planet, and to cope with them as best we can. You recall when you were growing up how difficult many things were in life, besides your education, contending with the neighborhood. And as you grew and finally became a parent, you began to take on a whole new set of problems. And it kept repeating itself in different ways. But at the same time, you became a little smarter. Even though you made mistakes, you began to recognize them for what they were. And that's all part of the path you were on. You were here for only one reason: to discover your nature. Your nature is not arbitrary. Your nature has a goal. And gradually you are meant to discover what that goal is. And the more you appreciate what your nature is, the more you'll be able to discover what the goal is. They go hand in hand. Along the way, you will meet many influences, some of which you will only use for a while, some you will dismiss, some you will retain. But the point is, your entire goal is to fulfill your nature. That is, to come to an understanding of what it means to be a being in this world. Around you, you have a host of other kinds of beings. And each one of them are attempting the same thing you are, but not necessarily consciously. When you plant the acorn, it wants to become an oak tree, nothing else. And in its efforts to finally grow into an oak tree, it fulfills its nature. And as a result of fulfilling in nature, it yields certain fruits. You are the same way. By fulfilling your nature, you will yield certain fruits to people. People will come to know you and be glad they know you, simply because you are fulfilling your nature. There's no other reason why they would like you. And so there's a reciprocity here that goes on, back and forth. The more we understand, comprehend, explore, experiment, and resolve why we are here, the more other people can appreciate us. We have different words for explaining some of these actions, but they all amount to the same thing. You're meant to live a life of wisdom. And the word wisdom means to know the order of things and to be able to implement that order. And after a while, you can even begin to enjoy the fact that you're knowing that order. There's a certain, as it were, disposition in which you can be very pleased with the fact that you're growing the way you want to grow. And as you grow, you will begin to share your wisdom in different ways, depending upon the situation and the circumstances in which you find yourself. And even though it seems somewhat of a distant goal, you will be provided with all the necessities that enable you to accomplish it. You have a bonus. And that bonus is you're in the tradition in which you are enjoying at this moment. more and more the disclosures of what life means will appear on the surface of your mind. Opportunities, surprises will come. And oftentimes you will be totally and utterly surprised by the benefits of life that will flow to you, mostly through people that will benefit you. You will be, as it were, rewarded unexpectedly. That turns around, in which you can then apply to yourself and to the action the recognition of what exactly that is doing to you. For that you can be grateful. In the act of gratitude, there's an expansion of awareness. You are meant to know whatever you want to know, literally. And I know that sounds rather far-fetched, but if that's your desire, you will fulfill it. And the more you can express your gratitude, the more you will be open to even further enrichment. And that's what our tradition is all about. And at the same time, you will discover how you can also be fairly independent. And independence doesn't mean you don't share yourself. It means you're not compelled or forced to do any action. You choose it because you want it. That's another way of saying you love it. And after a while, people more and more can recognize that you are a wise person. And that's the journey that we all have. Any questions?
Swami?
Yes, sir.
How does the winter solstice fit into the tradition?
Okay. How do you understand the meaning of solstice?
Well, this is the shortest day of the year. That is the shortest, least amount of daylight. And right now in Australia, let's say, they're having their longest length of daylight for the year.
Yeah, it's a little warm over there too.
It is somewhat. And it has to do with the angle that the Earth is at its axis.
Mm-hmm.
And as it spins on that axis, it wobbles back and forth, so that right now the North Pole is looking as far away from the sun as it can, and the South Pole is looking as close to the sun as it can, which allows for that wobble, and that's why it's the shortest day or the longest day. But I'm interested in hearing, for my whole life, I have heard of people going off to celebrate a solstice or an equinox or whatever, and I ask them, how come? Well, nobody ever seems to really know why they're doing it, but it's a heck of a good excuse to have a party.
Okay, we'll go from there. Every day we have two sides. There's darkness and there's light. And it varies. And as Tim said, this is the shortest day, the shortest life. But it's not forever. From this point on, the light gets more enduring. All of nature is a symbol for what can occur to us in terms of our understanding of reality. There are moments in our life that are very dark. We may feel betrayed, or we endure a terrific loss of a loved one. Those are all moments of darkness. We don't see any light in there. And yet, we continue. I'm sure there's no one here who hasn't endured moments of darkness in their own particular ways. Yet, the light goes on. Sometimes we feel lost, betrayed. We don't know what to do. And yet, we're alive. We have our intelligence. And as we begin to indulge those marvelous powers, we can begin to, as it were, ignite the light. All of nature are metaphors for our journey on this planet. Every season, every aspect of Mother Nature is to reveal not only themselves, but to reveal to us how we can carry on, regardless of the darkness. So, in a sense, we can even grow in the darkness. But we're meant to live both in the shade as well as the light. So we can celebrate the darkness by saying, okay, it is what it is. We've had moments of drudgery, disappointment, even death has afflicted some of our loved ones, and yet we go on. You are invulnerable, but you don't know it. So more and more nature is attempting to reveal to you not only your moments of vulnerability, but also your nature of invulnerability. And that's one of the ways you can appreciate the various seasons of the year. The light is now upon us after tonight, and it will continue to grow as you do. And so by your life of understanding your nature and fulfilling it, you become a light, a solstice to others. By your kindness, by your perception, your intuition, your generosity, your patience, you can begin to remove the darkness from some of your acquaintances. And in that doing, your light will even shine even stronger. And one day you will transcend all the solstices. You will remain permanently in the light while you're in this body. No darkness will ever afflict you. And that will give you insights into anything you request, anything you want to know, anything you desire. You will live totally